There is a power within you that responds not to logic, not to appearances, not to the noise of the outer world, but to belief. It listens only to the feeling that dominates your inner state. When reason denies your dream, when the world around you insists it cannot be done, that is the very moment you are being asked to trust something higher than reason. The mind of reason will always measure, calculate, and limit. It will show you evidence of what is, never of what can be. But imagination sees beyond that. It looks not to what the eyes see, but to what the heart knows. And if you can dare to believe what reason calls impossible, you will move from the known into the miraculous. Every great transformation begins in defiance of reason. The seed does not reason with the soil before breaking open. The bird does not wait for proof of the wind before it leaps. And you too must act on faith in the unseen. Not a faith that sits and wishes, but one that feels the reality of the desire as if it were already accomplished. Reason will whisper, "You are only pretending." But that whisper fades when you persist in the inner act of assumption. When night after night you clothe yourself in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not pretending, it is creation. It is the quiet command that molds the invisible into form. When reason says, "It has never happened before," your answer must be, "Then it will happen through me." When reason points to failure, you point inward to faith, because belief is not built on evidence. Evidence is built on belief. The outer world is only the shadow of your inner conviction. So when you close your eyes, refuse to measure your dream against the limits of the world. Instead, feel its reality so deeply that doubt dissolves. Let your imagination be the final authority. For what you accept as true within, the world must reflect without. To believe when reason denies it is to stand at the edge of the possible and call forth a new reality. It is to walk by inner sight and trust that what you feel is already forming behind the curtain of time. And when you persist in that unseen faith, the world that once denied you will rearrange itself to prove you right. There comes a point in every person's journey when logic fails them, when all the evidence seems to stand as a wall against their deepest desire. The senses speak loudly, reason argues convincingly, and still something within whispers, "It is possible." That whisper is not a delusion. It is the faint voice of truth calling from beyond the boundaries of the visible world. To believe when reason denies is not a trick of the mind. It is the highest act of creative awareness. It is to recognize that the world of facts, though solid to the senses, is but the slow echo of imagination. Reason belongs to the realm of effect, but belief belongs to the realm of cause. What you feel inwardly as true begins to shape the very laws reason depends upon. The intellect cannot comprehend this, for it tries to build reality from observation. Yet all observation is only the reflection of what has already been accepted within. Every great discovery, every act of genius, every miracle begins in someone who refused to bow before reason. The ones who change the world are not those who repeat what logic has approved, but those who live by an inner conviction stronger than fact. When the world laughed at the dreamers, they held fast to their unseen vision. When others demanded proof, they offered only faith. And in time, the proof appeared, for reality is compelled to follow belief as the shadow follows the body. When you stand in faith, you do not deny reason, you transcend it. You acknowledge that reason governs only the outer scene, not the unseen creative life that molds it. You realize that what is called realistic is often only the residue of past imagination. You begin to live from the inside out, knowing that feeling precedes form and belief precedes fact. To the rational mind, this sounds absurd. It insists that you must see before you can believe. But the law of consciousness says the opposite. You must believe before you can see. The unseen precedes the seen. The invisible thought precedes the visible thing. Every mountain of circumstance, every event, every object began as an idea. And ideas are born in imagination, not in reason. When your outer world contradicts your desire, that is not a signal to surrender. It is a test of inner fidelity. The moment you feel lack or delay or impossibility, you are being invited to prove your faith. You are asked, will you believe in the unseen power that brought you this far? Or will you yield to appearances? Reason will show you the statistics, the impossibilities, the obstacles. Faith will show you only the end, the already fulfilled vision. If you would truly believe when reason denies, then you must learn to feel beyond appearances. Feeling is the secret key. Words and affirmations are powerless unless they stir emotion. The universe responds not to empty repetition, but to the living vibration of belief. You must enter the emotional state of the wish fulfilled and dwell there until it becomes natural. Then, though nothing seems to have changed, the creative process has already begun. Every night before sleep, close your eyes and see yourself as you wish to be. Do not argue with the mind that says, this is foolish. Simply persist in the feeling that it is done. The more you do this, the more the invisible substance of life begins to align with your assumption. You are shaping reality in silence. The world will one day call it coincidence or luck, but you will know that it was faith. The inner world and the outer world are not two separate realms. They are one continuum joined by belief. The bridge between the invisible and the visible is your assumption. The quiet acceptance that something unseen is already real. This assumption, once fixed in feeling, acts as a command to the unseen forces of creation. It draws events, people, and circumstances to bring itself to pass. To those who live only by reason, this sounds like fantasy. But observe your own life and you will see the proof everywhere. Every fear you ever held too long found a way to express itself. Every confident expectation, no matter how small, seemed to invite success. Life mirrors the strongest belief you hold, whether it is for or against you. Reason is a good servant but a poor master. It can measure what exists, but it cannot create what does not yet exist. If you let reason dictate your limits, you become a prisoner of what has been. If you let belief guide you, you become a creator of what can be. The rational mind says, be practical. But to be practical in the truest sense is to know that all practicality begins in imagination. The practical world was once the dream of someone who dared to believe. When doubt arises, and it will, do not fight it. Simply observe it and return to your chosen feeling. Doubt is the echo of your old self, trying to keep you small. You need not conquer it through argument, you dissolve it through persistence. Each time you return to the state of fulfillment, the power of doubt weakens. In time, belief becomes your natural mood, and reason adjusts itself to support what once it denied. There is a profound freedom in knowing that you need not wait for permission from the outer world. You do not have to convince anyone. You do not need evidence first. You are the evidence, for your consciousness is the cause of all experience. When you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are declaring that within you lives a power greater than circumstance. You are saying to reason, you may describe the past, but I command the future. Consider how a child believes. The child does not reason out the probability of its wish, it simply knows it to be true in imagination. That innocent certainty is creation in its purest form. Adults lose this power not because it vanishes, but because they have learned to worship facts over faith. Yet those facts were once beliefs themselves. The cycle can be reversed at any moment you choose to believe again. There is a sacred stillness within you that knows your word is law. When you say, I am, the universe listens. To attach anything to that phrase is to summon it into being. When you declare, I am successful, I am healed, I am loved, and feel the truth of it, you are aligning your consciousness with that state. And because consciousness is the only reality, the outer world must reflect that alignment. But if you say, I am trying, I hope, I wish, you are confessing separation between yourself and your desire. Hope implies doubt. Belief implies certainty. Do not hope that your dream will come true. Assume that it already has. The world rearranges itself around sustained assumption. Faith is not passive. It is a deliberate act of imagination. It demands discipline. Not the discipline of struggle, but of focus. You must learn to turn away from appearances, not in denial, but in recognition that appearances are temporary expressions of old beliefs. When the outer world contradicts your inner knowing, hold your inner knowing even closer. Every contradiction is only the shadow of transformation. When reason denies your vision, it is not because reason is evil. It is because reason only knows the past. It measures from memory, not from possibility. But faith draws from eternity, where all things already exist in potential. When you believe beyond reason, you are not escaping reality. You are calling forth a higher version of it. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. To reason, it is just a stone. To faith, it is already a statue waiting to be revealed. The sculptor does not doubt the existence of the figure. He simply removes what hides it. Likewise, you do not create your dream from nothing. You remove the disbelief that conceals it. The dream already exists in consciousness, complete and perfect. Your task is only to see it with inner eyes until the outer eyes must agree. Every event in your life is a reflection of your inner assumption. The person who constantly believes they are unlucky will encounter endless proof of it. The one who believes they are blessed will find doors opening where none existed. This is not chance, it is law. The world is a mirror, endlessly faithful, reflecting whatever image you hold before it. To believe when reason denies is to recognize that your inner world is the workshop of creation. It is to walk by the light of an inner sun while the outer world still sleeps in darkness. It is to trust that what you feel is more real than what you see. That feeling sustained without effort becomes the blueprint by which the unseen crafts your future. The journey from doubt to belief is not always comfortable. The world will test your conviction. Circumstances will arise to challenge your faith. But these are not punishments. They are mirrors, showing you the remnants of disbelief still alive within you. Welcome them as opportunities to deepen your certainty. Every challenge is a chance to say, even now, I believe. Do not wait for signs to appear before you trust. The signs follow. They do not lead. If you must see to believe, you will always be a follower of life. But if you can believe before seeing, you become a leader of creation. The invisible becomes visible through your steadfastness. When you stand firm in belief, the laws of the universe begin to conspire for your fulfillment. People, ideas, and opportunities align with your inner state. It may look like coincidence, but it is order in motion. Faith is the unseen architect arranging all pieces of the puzzle in perfect timing. Reason might say, it is too late. Faith replies, time bends to the will of belief. Reason might say, you don't have the resources. Faith answers, everything I need is already on its way. Reason might insist, you are dreaming. Faith smiles and says, yes, and dreams create worlds. There will be moments when the world seems unchanged, when the outer picture contradicts your inner assurance. Those are the sacred moments when creation is gestating. Just as the seed grows unseen beneath the soil, your assumption is taking form in the invisible. If you disturb it by doubt, you delay it. If you nurture it with quiet faith, it will bloom in perfect time. Belief beyond reason is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is union with the creative principle that formed galaxies and breathes through you now. You are not separate from that power, you are its expression. When you believe in the impossible, you are simply allowing that divine power to express itself without interference from reason. Let your senses report what they may. Do not be their slave. Let reason perform its function. But do not let it dictate your vision. Live in the end, feel the fulfillment. Walk in the confidence that the unseen is already yours. Speak from the standpoint of accomplishment, and you will draw its reality to you. There is no force in the universe that can resist sustained belief. The outer world must bend to the inner conviction, because the inner is the cause and the outer the effect. Every fact that denies your dream will one day become the proof that your faith was greater than reason. And so, when you find yourself standing before impossibility, remember that reason sees only what has been, but belief calls forth what shall be. The unseen responds to the one who dares to trust it. And when you believe, truly believe, when every fiber of your being rests in the feeling that it is already done, the impossible becomes inevitable. When the outer world seems cold and unyielding, when every appearance mocks your faith, remember this. The outer is not reality, but reflection. It is the mirror of yesterday's thoughts, the echo of what you once believed. If you continue to accept it as final, you are merely recreating the same reflection again and again. But if you withdraw your attention from it, if you dare to feel something greater, the mirror must change. The image cannot resist the hand that shapes it from within. You are not here to argue with reason, nor to destroy it. You are here to rise above its limitations. Reason serves a purpose in the physical world, but belief moves in the unseen, and the unseen rules the seen. When you imagine with conviction, you are touching the living substance from which all things are made. It is not fantasy, it is creation in motion. Think for a moment of the dreams that have already come true in your life, things once beyond reach that somehow appeared. At the time, reason might have laughed at them, yet here they are, real and tangible. What brought them to you? Was it logic? Was it calculation? Or was it that moment of surrender, that moment when you simply knew without knowing how? That knowing is the essence of belief. It bypasses reason entirely. To live in belief is to walk with a quiet certainty. It is to know that the invisible current of life flows in your favor, that what you desire already exists in the unseen and is only waiting for your permission to appear. When you give that permission through feeling, not through effort or pleading, but through acceptance, you open the door. Most people live as prisoners of evidence. They look only at what has been and call it truth. But truth is fluid. What was once impossible is now commonplace. Flight was madness until a man believed he could fly. Light at the touch of a switch was witchcraft until a man believed he could harness it. Communication across oceans was fantasy until someone believed beyond reason. These examples are not distant miracles, they are the natural results of belief defying logic. The same law that moves galaxies bends to your consciousness. The universe has no resistance except the doubt within your own heart. The moment you drop the need to know how something will happen, it begins to happen. The how is the domain of the unseen. Your task is only to sustain the vision. When you close your eyes and imagine yourself already possessing your desire, already being, doing, or having what you long for, you are setting in motion invisible forces far beyond intellect. These forces are exact and impartial. They do not respond to desperation, but to assumption. When you feel that something is already true, you impress it upon the creative medium of life, and it begins to arrange everything necessary for its fulfillment. Do not confuse belief with wishful thinking. Wishing is passive, belief is active. Wishing says, I want it someday. Belief says, it is mine now. That difference in feeling separates those who hope from those who manifest. Hope looks to the future, belief rests in the present. When you believe, you remove time from the equation. You declare that what you desire is already here in essence, and that declaration commands the unseen to reveal itself. Reason will argue, you are deceiving yourself. But you are not. You are simply claiming your creative power. Everything you see began as someone's inner conviction. Even the things you take for granted, the buildings, the music, the discoveries, all first existed in imagination. The dreamer held them inwardly until the world had no choice but to agree. You must learn to dwell in the feeling of your wish, fulfilled so persistently that it becomes more real to you than the facts around you. When the world says, impossible, close your eyes and live inside the feeling of completion. When doubt whispers, answer not with argument, but with silence and deeper feeling. Feeling is the language of creation. Faith without feeling is empty. To believe is not merely to repeat words, but to enter the emotional vibration of the desired state. You must taste it, breathe it, walk with it inwardly until it becomes your natural atmosphere. Then, no matter how things appear, you will move through the world as one who knows that unseen forces are working in their favor. When you believe beyond reason, something changes in your posture toward life. You stop begging and start claiming. You no longer say, I hope things will change, but things are changing now. That quiet confidence radiates through your actions, and the world feels it. People respond differently, opportunities emerge, coincidences align. It seems magical, but it is law. The world of reason is bound by precedent. It believes only in repetition. But the world of faith is infinite, for it knows that new forms are born every moment from imagination. The only limits are those you accept. When you lift your consciousness beyond what reason calls possible, you tap into a realm where all possibilities exist. Faith is not the denial of reality, it is the recognition of a deeper one. You are not ignoring facts when you believe against them. You are acknowledging that facts are temporary reflections of past thoughts. You are choosing to create new facts. It is easy to believe when life agrees with you. The real power is to believe when everything contradicts you. In those moments, your belief becomes gold refined by fire. Every appearance of failure, every delay, every rejection is an invitation to deepen your trust in the unseen. Stand still inwardly, even when the storm rages. Feel that what you have imagined is real, more real than the storm itself. Do not measure the size of your desire by your current means. Your means are not the source, they are the result. The source is invisible and unlimited. It will use whatever channels are necessary to fulfill your faith. When you stop insisting on the way it must happen, you open infinite paths for it to occur. To believe when reason denies requires inner stillness. The mind that reasons is noisy. It demands explanations. But the creative act happens in silence. Go within, quiet the chatter, and listen to that deep certainty that whispers, "It is done." That whisper is the voice of truth. You may call it intuition, spirit, or imagination. It matters not. It is the same power that has guided every miracle since the dawn of time. As you practice dwelling in belief, you will begin to notice subtle shifts. A sense of calm replaces anxiety. A feeling of inevitability surrounds your desire. You no longer chase it, you allow it. You find yourself acting naturally in ways that align with its fulfillment, without strain or planning. This is the effortless unfolding of faith. Belief is not blind. It is the highest form of sight. It sees with the eye of the heart what the eye of the body cannot yet perceive. When you say, "I believe," you are not closing your eyes to reality. You are opening them to the greater reality that precedes and shapes the visible. To sustain belief, you must guard your inner conversations. Every thought, every mental image is a seed. If you dwell on doubt, you plant weeds. If you dwell on fulfillment, you plant flowers. Speak inwardly only of what you wish to see. The inner dialogue becomes the outer experience. Even when nothing seems to happen, persistence is key. The unseen takes time to crystallize into form, not because it hesitates, but because your own acceptance must become steady. If you shift from faith to fear, from confidence to complaint, you are uprooting your own seeds. Stay consistent in the feeling of the end, and results become inevitable. When you meet people who doubt you, bless them silently. They are only mirrors of your own lingering uncertainty. Each time you respond with faith instead of defense, you strengthen your inner vision. The outer resistance fades when the inner conviction is complete. Faith and reason are not enemies, they are stages of awareness. Reason shows you the known, faith reveals the unknown. When you merge them, you become unstoppable. You use reason to navigate the visible world and faith to command the invisible one. There will come a day when you look back and smile at the things that once terrified you. You will see that every obstacle was an illusion waiting for your belief to dissolve it. You will realize that nothing external ever had power. The power was always in your inner state. To believe when reason denies is to walk the path of creators. It is to live as if the invisible were visible, to act as though the promise were already kept. It is not arrogance, it is obedience to the law of consciousness. What you assume as true, you become. What you become inwardly must express outwardly. The world may call you unrealistic, but the dreamer has always been called mad until the dream became fact. Let them laugh, let reason object. In silence, continue to feel your reality as already accomplished. The laughter will turn to admiration when your invisible becomes visible. Hold fast to your inner image. Nourish it with joy, gratitude, and certainty. Do not chase results. They are already unfolding. You do not force the flower to bloom. You trust the process. Your belief is the sunlight that draws it from the soil. As you live this way, something extraordinary happens. Fear loses its grip. You realize you are never truly waiting for anything. Everything you seek is already complete within you. The outer world becomes a canvas, and belief your brush. You stop reacting and start creating. Every day, remind yourself that reason describes, but belief commands. Reason reports what has happened, belief declares what shall happen. When reason denies, belief affirms. And the affirmation, sustained in feeling, becomes fact. Your life is not governed by luck, fate, or circumstance. It is governed by the unseen pattern of your own convictions. Change those convictions, and the entire landscape of your life rearranges itself. In quiet moments, close your eyes and feel the reality of your desire. Do not visualize it as a distant event, but as a present fact. See the world through the eyes of one who already possesses it. Walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Live in the consciousness of fulfillment, and the outer world will mirror that fulfillment back to you in time. There is no mystery to this, only practice. The more you turn inward, the more you realize that the line between imagination and reality is an illusion. The two are one. Imagination is the seed, reality the harvest. To believe when reason denies is to trust that the seed you've planted will bloom, even when the soil looks barren. And so you continue unshaken with quiet joy. You no longer seek signs, for you have become the sign. You no longer need to prove anything to reason. Reason itself begins to serve you. The world that once contradicted you now rearranges itself to match your belief. In that state, you discover the greatest secret, that you are not separate from the power you sought. You and it are one. The belief that transcends reason is not the belief in something outside you. It is the belief as the creative power itself. You are the dreamer and the dream, the cause and the effect, the invisible and the visible. And when you know this, not think it, but feel it, then every denial of reason becomes another opportunity for creation. Every impossibility becomes an invitation to express your divine nature. You no longer fear contradictions. You welcome them, for they are the stage upon which faith reveals its glory. The world of reason will always be smaller than the world of faith, but it is faith, that steady inner knowing when all else denies, that writes the script of reality. And as you continue to live in that knowing, as you dare to feel what cannot yet be seen, the unseen will rise to meet you. Obedient to the law that never fails, belief creates reality. So when reason stands against you, do not bow to it. Rise above it. When the facts shout, impossible, let your faith whisper, ready, done. The power that shapes stars and stirs oceans moves through you this very moment, waiting only for your belief to give it form. You were not born to surrender to appearances, but to command them through the quiet authority of conviction. Let others depend on what they see. You depend on what you know within. For the one who dares to believe when reason denies, nothing remains impossible. The unseen bends, the world shifts, and life itself bows before your unwavering faith.